Hi everyone. I just got done making a very long video for you and I thought it was amazing. I even had my little image up here talking and dancing to you, and I just went to listen to it and there's no volume. Wah, wah. So these aren't the exact papers you got, but they're pretty close, and we will go over how to set up our lab book. Part 2. So you have your science lab book papers. You can now unclip them. Obviously, you're going to have to tell me who you are, okay? So I want to make sure we go through the papers first and organize them, and then we will cut and paste them because they're a touch out of order. My apologies. So first page, lab book. This is our title page. We'll put that on our first page. Then we have periodic table of elements. Since we are working on physical science this fall, this will be our first page to represent physical science. Then I have Mystery Science, the Alchemist Potion. This was last week's Mystery Science experiment. Remember, this was extra credit, but we're still going to glue it in so that we have all of our data as we move into the next few weeks. So part 1 is week 1. So I might even write in the side week 1 or just number 1. Okay, this week you have part 2. So this week was the copper pennies in the different mixtures. This week you are taking those pennies in the mixtures and adding a nail to it. Okay, so you will need to do part 1 in order to do part 2. This paper is smaller for you. It's shrunken down so that we can fit them into the lab books. Okay, so this is number 2. This will be second. Now your next page is Capturing Chaos. Okay, but chaos is Mystery Science Week 5. So this one is unfortunately out of order. So you can set this one just off to the side. This is our last one to glue in. These two big ones are worksheets, okay? So these don't get glued into our lab book. These are for you if you do the experiment at home. This is almost your placemat to set you up, okay? This is week 4. And this one is week 3. So you can see right here, mystery 3, mystery 4. Okay. Now the baking soda borax glue mixes with or connects with week 4. So at the top of this page, this will go in your lab book. I'm going to write week number 4, and then I have week 5. Okay, so I'm putting my pages in order. We're going to go through them again. I know it's a little tricky, but you guys are mini geniuses and you're going to be great. Okay, title page. Next page I have is my periodic table of elements. Then I have Alchemist Potion Part 1, Part 2. Then my next page is week number 4. We are missing week 3. You're not missing week 3. Ms. Pepley's missing week 3. It should look like this, but smaller. Okay, so let me find it because I did set up my lab book already. I apologize that I didn't have all these extras. Okay, so your week 3 will look like that. Set that one aside. This is number 3. It says results at the top. So results will go right after week 2. Then you'll have this page. Then you'll have week 4. And then you'll have Capturing Chaos. Chaos is not just a theory, it's also a way of life. So what you'll need to grab right now, scissors, glue stick, okay? And I've already set up my lab book, but I will start to set it up again. Hopefully I don't have to make any more videos because I don't have these papers. So obviously our lab books are a little smaller than regular size notebooks. So a lot of these are shrunken, and if not, we're going to cut them down. When you open it up, your title page will be the science lab book. So you're going to have to take your scissors, trim it up. Pepley. You can say your last name if you so desire, or Batman. Okay. Now, I know this sounds silly, but this is very important. Cutting and gluing are things we learned probably before kindergarten. But every year I'll get lab books and I can't open the pages because they're stuck together because someone did too much glue. So we're going to use a glue stick. Make sure you have just enough. You do the edges. And then I like to go in to cross and a little bit extra. Okay? Then you can fit it down onto your page. So I'm doubling up right now. And you'll write your name. Okay, now the rest of the lab book is kind of up to you how you want to set it up. We just need to do it in order. So the first page of the science book after this is physical science. I don't know if you can see, I wrote it up at the top. Physical science. And we'll write together once our lab books are all glued in. We'll be taking notes. I put the periodic table of elements on this side. If I need to make notes, I can make them above, below, and then on this page as well. Since I'm left-handed, it works naturally for me to do notes over here. You may want to put the periodic table of elements on this side, okay? So you can write notes over here. Do what works best for you. Just make sure there is a system and they're all in order, right? So my next page should have something glued on it. I'm not going to skip 5 pages and then come back 2 pages and then use the back of the notebook. We want to really make sure we're organized and we go in order. I know Mr. Way would really appreciate that as you get into middle school. So your next page is week 1 or part 1, the alchemist potion. This was last week's. So I obviously went in, I got my scissors and I trimmed the edges. Okay. I was thinking about if you really wanted to, you could put part 1 and then part 2 over here. But I kept 1 page per week because I thought, well, I might want to take notes or maybe I need more space. But this might be too small for me. I don't have the best handwriting, so I might want to write 1B over here and answer out so I have more space and it looks neater. Okay, so do what works for you. At the top, I wrote week 1. I also wrote the date 9/05 to 9/11. That way in my mind, I know this is the dates that I worked on this lab experiment. You may not have done this at home, and that's fine, but I still want you to glue in the page because we'll be writing data together as the week goes on. Okay, so now the next page, I put part 2. Again, I put it on this side. That way, if I needed to take notes, I could write them over here. And I centered it. I wrote week 2. Hopefully you guys can see this all right. It's looking very soft when I'm looking at it. And you can see that I'm actually writing in pencil. And I do that a lot for science because I may make a mistake. I might need to erase it. So I may go back and do pen after this. So the dates for this week are 9/14 to 9/18. Okay, next page. I did mystery number 3. So they are numbered over here. And this was the page that I didn't have in this big packet because I had used my last copy for the first take of my movie for the lab book. Okay, so this might be a little tricky because I didn't have this example to show you. But this says results. And then we have water, not acid, vinegar, acid. So next week your experiment is, can you drink acid? Okay. Is this possible to drink? So that's our experiment for next week. And then this will go with this mixing sheet. So this you would use on your own. Okay, so that's why I folded it and I put it in the back of my lab book. I don't need this in my lab book after I take the experiment or finish the experiment, but I need it in order to complete the experiment. After week 3, and we'll date it and take notes as we go along. Then we have our 4th one, okay? And this one goes with this sheet. You can see they are lining up. This is where you will, if you need to, do your experiment on. This is where you record your data, okay? Don't worry about writing anything. I put the number 4 just because that helps me in my mind know, okay, this is for week 4. Can even write it up here. Bam. Okay, next one, we have our final one, capturing chaos. I left capturing chaos as a big size because I wanted you to be able to draw your picture and have room for that. So what I would suggest you doing, you can do it either way, is cut it in half. So you can see I cut the top half because I wanted to make sure I had room for this picture. Now you can, so what I did is I folded it, right? And then I glued the back part. That way it looks nice and neat. Another thing you can do if you prefer is you can glue it this way, right? You could also unfold the entire paper and glue it that way and work on it and then glue it in. I don't like writing right here. It kind of messes me up. So I cut the paper, and instead of putting one on each side, which you can totally do, I created another page for the second half of the experiment. Okay, so there's 2 experiments for week 5, capturing our chaos. So I put those on 2 pages. So I'm going to go back through really quickly. Thank you guys for your patience. Sorry you can't see any of my dance moves. But make sure you tell me who you are. Then we have physical science, PHYSICAL, and then science, SCIENCE. Very blurry, I apologize. You have your periodic table of elements, which we will discuss coming up. Okay, don't worry about this. We're going to work plenty on this. Part 1, alchemist potion. Part 2, alchemist potion. Results. And then, was there reaction? If so, does it make goo? Next page. Capturing chaos is our final experiment to glue in the lab book. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, remember you can pause, go back over, take your time, make it look nice. You don't have to do it exactly how I did it. If you prefer your pages over here, that's fine. I like to leave room because I know I won't probably fill up this whole book in a year. So I like to make sure I have space. So if I want to make notes, do some drawings, ask questions, that's always great for my lab book. What I do want is for you to have them glued down in order. And I would also appreciate it if you had them at least page after page. Don't skip 5 pages to get to the next one. Okay, remember, if you have any questions, you can ask me. This might take you a few days. It might take you just a couple minutes. But I hope that makes sense. All right, hopefully this video works and I can move on to the math notes. Bye, everyone. Toodles. See if I can stop the video. Blah, blah, blah.